Jake Morrison stood at the large window of the alien ship and watched the stars move past. He had never seen anything like this before. The ship was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. The walls were made of some kind of metal that seemed to glow with a soft blue light. Everything looked smooth and perfect, like it was made by machines that never made mistakes. Jake was Earth's first ambassador to the aliens. He was a tall man with gray hair and kind eyes. He had spent his whole life working with different countries on Earth, helping them solve problems without fighting. Now he had the biggest job anyone had ever been given. He had to speak for all of humanity. The alien ship was called the Nexus Prime. It belonged to something called the Galactic Council. Jake had learned that this council was made up of 12 different alien races. They had been working together for thousands of years, making rules for the whole galaxy. Now they wanted to meet with humans for the first time. Captain Lisa Hayes walked up to Jake. She was the commander of Earth's first ship that could travel between stars. The ship was called the Horizon. It was much smaller than the alien ships, but it was the best thing humans had ever built. Lisa was a smart woman with short brown hair and sharp eyes. She did not trust the aliens very much. "How are you feeling about this meeting?" Lisa asked Jake. "Nervous," Jake said honestly. "We don't know what they want from us. They could be friendly, or they could want to hurt us." "I've been watching their ships," Lisa said. "They have a lot of them. Much more than we do, and their weapons look very powerful." Jake nodded. He had seen the alien weapons too. They were scary to look at. The aliens had ships that were as long as cities. Some of their weapons could destroy whole planets. At least, that's what the aliens had told them. A soft sound came from the walls of the ship. It was the aliens' way of telling everyone that the meeting was about to start. Jake straightened his tie and checked his uniform. He wanted to look good for humanity. The meeting room was enormous. The ceiling was so high that Jake could barely see it. In the center of the room was a big round table. 12 chairs were around the table, each one different from the others. Each chair was made for a different kind of alien body. The aliens were already sitting in their chairs when Jake and Lisa walked in. Jake tried not to stare, but it was hard. He had never seen anything like them before. Some of the aliens looked like giant insects, others looked like they were made of rock. One alien looked like it was made of water, but it could still talk and move around. The most important alien was sitting in the biggest chair. His name was High Counselor Vexstar. He was one of the Zephyrians, the most powerful alien race in the galaxy. Vexstar was tall and thin, with skin that looked like silver metal. His eyes were black and seemed to shine with their own light. When he spoke, his voice was deep and echoed through the room. "Welcome, humans," Vexstar said. "We are pleased to finally meet your species. We have been watching your planet for some time." Jake felt a chill run down his back. The aliens had been watching Earth. For how long? What had they seen? "Thank you for inviting us," Jake said, trying to keep his voice steady. "We are honored to meet the Galactic Council." Vexstar made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species is very young. You have only just learned to travel between stars. Most species need thousands of years to reach this point. You have done it in a very short time." "We learn quickly," Jake said. "Yes, we have noticed this," said another alien. This one looked like a giant bird with 4 arms. "Your species fights many wars. You are very good at making weapons. But you are not very good at making peace." Jake felt his face get hot. It was true that humans fought a lot of wars. But they also did good things. They helped each other. They made art and music. They tried to make life better for everyone. "We have also made great progress in science and medicine," Jake said. "We have learned to cure diseases and help people live longer lives." "This is good," Vexstar said. "But it does not change the fact that your species is dangerous, to yourselves and to others." The aliens spent the next hour telling Jake about all the problems with humanity. They said humans were too violent. They said humans could not be trusted to make good decisions. They said humans were like children who needed adults to watch over them. Finally, Vexstar leaned forward in his chair. "We have a solution for these problems. We offer your species protection. You can join the galactic community, but you will need guidance. The Zephyrians will watch over your planet. We will protect you from other alien races who might want to hurt you. What would we have to do in return? Jake asked. Simple things, Vexstar said with a smile that showed sharp teeth. You will provide us with the materials we need. Your planet has many useful resources. You will also provide workers. For our projects, many of our tasks require beings who can work in small spaces or dangerous conditions. Jake felt his heart sink. The aliens wanted to make humans into slaves. They wanted to take Earth's resources and use human workers for dangerous jobs. They were calling it protection, but it sounded like slavery. We would also handle all of your military decisions, another alien said. This one looked like a giant crab. Humans are too emotional to make good choices about war and peace. We have thousands of years of experience. We know what is best. And if we refuse this offer? Jake asked. The room became very quiet. All the aliens looked at each other. Finally, Vexstar spoke again. That would be unfortunate, he said. The galaxy can be a very dangerous place. There are many alien races who do not like humans. Some of them have very powerful weapons. Without our protection, your planet might face attacks from these hostile species. Jake understood what Vexstar was really saying. If humans refused to become slaves, the aliens would attack Earth. They were not offering protection. They were making a threat. We will need time to think about this offer, Jake said. Of course, Vexstar said. We understand that this is a big decision. We will give you 1 solar cycle to consider our proposal. That is about 1 year in your time system. Thank you, Jake said. But do not take too long, Vexstar warned. Other alien races have already noticed your planet. Some of them are not as patient as we are. Some of them might decide to take action without waiting for your decision. The meeting ended after that. Jake and Lisa were shown back to their ship. As they walked through the corridors of the alien ship, Jake could see alien soldiers everywhere. They were carrying weapons that looked like they could cut through metal. Their armor was thick and covered with spikes. They have a lot of soldiers, Lisa whispered to Jake. I noticed, Jake said. They want us to be scared. Are you scared? Lisa asked. Jake thought about it for a moment. Yes, he said. But being scared doesn't mean we have to give up. We need to go back to Earth and tell everyone what happened here. Then we need to decide what to do. As their ship left the alien vessel, Jake looked back at the Nexus Prime. It was surrounded by hundreds of other alien ships. Each one was bigger and more powerful than anything humans had ever built. The aliens had made their message very clear. Join them as slaves or face destruction. But Jake had a feeling that the aliens did not know everything about humanity. They had been watching Earth, but they might not have seen everything. Humans were good at hiding things when they needed to. Maybe the aliens were in for a surprise. The journey back to Earth would take several days. Jake spent the time thinking about what he would tell the world leaders. He also thought about what Captain Hayes had said about Earth's defenses. Maybe humans were not as helpless as the aliens thought. 3 weeks had passed since Jake Morrison returned to Earth from his meeting with the Galactic Council. The whole world had been talking about the alien offer. Some people thought humans should accept it. They were scared of what might happen if they refused. Other people were angry. They did not want to become slaves to aliens. Dr. Karen White sat in her office at the Defensive Systems Command Center. She was a small woman with blonde hair and bright blue eyes. She had been working on Earth's defense systems for 10 years. Most people did not know about her work. The government kept it secret to avoid panic. Karen looked at the reports on her desk. The alien ships were still watching Earth from far away. They thought they were hiding, but human sensors could see them clearly. The aliens had no idea how good human technology really was. Her assistant knocked on the door. Dr. White, the president is calling. He wants to know if we're ready. Karen nodded. Tell him we're ready. It's time to show the aliens what humans can really do. She walked to the communication center. A large screen showed the alien council ship floating in space. The aliens were probably expecting Jake Morrison to call them back with Earth's surrender. They were going to be very surprised. The screen lit up and showed the alien meeting room. All 12 council members were there. High Counselor Vextar looked pleased with himself. He probably thought the humans were calling to accept his offer. "Greetings, humans," Vextar said. "We are happy to hear from you. Have you made your decision?" "Yes, we have," Karen said. She kept her voice calm and friendly. "We have reviewed your offer carefully. We appreciate your concern for our safety. However, we must respectfully decline membership under the terms you proposed." The aliens looked confused. They had expected humans to be scared. They had expected begging and pleading. They had not expected a polite refusal. "Perhaps you do not understand," said the alien that looked like a giant bird. "We are offering you protection. Without our help, your species will not survive." "We understand your position," Karen said. "But we believe we can protect ourselves. In fact, we think there may have been some confusion about our defensive capabilities." Vextar laughed. The sound was like metal scraping against metal. "Your defensive capabilities? You have a few small ships and some basic weapons. We have watched your planet for many years. We know what you have." "Actually, you don't," Karen said. "We believe in something called full disclosure. Since you've been watching us, we should tell you what you've been looking at." She pressed a button on her desk. The screen split in two. One side still showed the aliens. The other side showed a view of Earth from space. 50 small objects were floating around the planet. They looked like metal boxes with solar panels attached. "These are Earth's orbital defense platforms," Karen explained. "We currently have 50 of them active. Each platform is equipped with what we classify as basic kinetic deterrents." The aliens leaned forward to look at the platforms. They were much smaller than alien weapons. Each one was about the size of a school bus. To the aliens, they looked like toys. "Your platforms are very small," Vextar said. "Our weapons are much larger and more powerful." "Size isn't everything," Karen said. "These platforms operate on minimal power allocation. They use about 1% of their potential output. We do this to save energy and avoid unnecessary wear on the systems." The aliens looked at each other. 1% seemed like a very small amount. If the platforms were only using 1% of their power, that meant they were probably not very dangerous. "We should also mention," Karen continued, "that one of our platforms had to engage a target 6 days ago. A small alien probe was conducting unauthorized scans of our moon bases." The room became very quiet. The aliens stopped looking amused. They started looking worried. "What happened to this probe?" Vextar asked. "It was neutralized," Karen said. "Security Chief Ryan Clark can give you the details." Another human appeared on the screen. Ryan Clark was a big man with dark hair and serious eyes. He had been a soldier before he started working with the defense systems. "The probe was detected at 14:35 Earth Standard Time," Ryan said. "It was scanning our Luna Mining Base 7. This is not allowed under our security protocols." "Platform 7 was activated to handle the situation?" "How long did this engagement last?" asked one of the aliens. 0.3 seconds, Ryan said. "The kinetic projectile was fired at 12% of light speed. The probe was completely destroyed. No debris larger than dust particles remained." The aliens stared at the humans. 12% of light speed was incredibly fast. Most alien weapons could only reach 2 or 3% of light speed, and the humans had done this with only one platform using minimal power. "What type of probe was destroyed?" Vextar asked. His voice was not as confident as before. Ryan checked his notes. "Our sensors identified it as a Zephyrian military scout probe. Designation ZX7742. It had heavy armor and defensive shields. Standard military-grade equipment." Vextar's silver skin turned a darker color. He quickly activated a communication device and spoke in his own language. After a few minutes, he turned back to the humans. "Scout probe ZX7742 has been missing for 6 days," he said. It was equipped with our best defensive systems. It should have been able to survive attacks from most galactic weapons. I'm sorry about your probe, Karen said, but it was scanning our facilities without permission. We sent 3 warning signals before taking action. The probe did not respond to any of them. Your warning signals were probably too weak, said the alien that looked like a giant crab. Our probe's communication systems are very advanced. They would have detected any reasonable signal. We broadcast on all standard frequencies, Ryan said. We also used focused quantum burst transmissions. Any ship with standard galactic equipment should have received our warnings clearly. The aliens looked at each other again. Focused quantum burst transmissions were very advanced technology. Most alien races could not generate signals that strong. There's something else you should know, Karen said. Platform 7 required maintenance. After the engagement, the targeting system needed recalibration. We're not used to engaging such small, fast targets. Your platform needed maintenance because it destroyed our probe? Vexstar asked. Well, the platform was operating outside normal parameters, Karen explained. It's designed for much larger targets, asteroids, mostly. We use these platforms to protect Earth from space rocks that might hit our planet. The probe was much smaller than what we usually shoot at. The aliens were starting to understand something terrible. The humans had built weapons to fight asteroids. Space rocks could be huge, some of them bigger than cities. If human weapons could destroy asteroids, they could destroy anything. How large are the asteroids you normally engage? Asked one of the aliens. It depends, Karen said. The biggest one we've handled was about 15 kilometers across. It was heading straight for Earth. Platform 12 destroyed it with a single shot. 15 kilometers, Vexstar repeated. That's bigger than most of our warships. Yes, but asteroids don't have shields or armor, Karen said. They're just rock and metal. Much easier to destroy than military targets. The aliens did not look relieved by this information. They were thinking about what would happen if human weapons hit their ships. If the humans could destroy 15-kilometer asteroids, what would happen to alien vessels? We should also mention, Karen continued, that our current defense grid is operating on standby mode. All 50 platforms are active, but they're running at minimal power levels. This saves energy and extends the life of our equipment. What would happen if you increase the power levels? Vexstar asked. We've never had to find out, Karen said. 1% power has been sufficient for all our needs so far. We estimate that full power operation would be approximately 100 times more effective, but we've never tested this. The aliens sat in silence for a long moment. They were trying to understand what the humans were telling them. If the platforms were currently operating at 1% power, that meant they could be 100 times more powerful. The probe had been destroyed by a weapon using almost no power at all. Dr. White, Vexstar said slowly, are you telling us that your defensive systems are capable of much greater output than what we have observed? That's correct, Karen said. We designed them with significant safety margins. Better to have too much power than not enough when protecting our planet. How much greater output? Vexstar asked. Karen looked at her notes. Well, as I mentioned, we normally operate at 1% capacity. During the probe engagement, Platform 7 was operating at approximately 3% capacity. Our systems are designed to handle full power operation for extended periods. Full power being 100 times current levels? Vexstar asked. Actually, that's just our normal calculation, Karen said. The platforms can operate in emergency mode at higher levels than that. But we've never needed to test emergency mode. The aliens looked like they were having trouble breathing. Even the ones that didn't seem to have lungs were making strange noises. We appreciate your time, Karen said. We hope this information helps clear up any confusion about Earth's defensive capabilities. We look forward to future diplomatic contact as equals in the galactic community. Admiral Zexhai stood in the command center of his flagship, the Void Crusher. He was the leader of the Zephyrian military fleet. His ship was 3 kilometers long and carried enough weapons to destroy a small moon. Around him, hundreds of other ships waited for orders. The admiral was angry. The humans had embarrassed the Galactic Council. They had destroyed a Zephyrian probe and acted like it was nothing special. Admiral Zexai did not believe that humans were as powerful as they claimed to be. "Intelligence Advisor Creolon," he called out. "Show me the data from the destroyed probe." Creolon was a small alien with 6 eyes and gray skin. He was very good at understanding information and finding patterns. He had been studying the probe's final transmission for 3 days. "The data is strange, Admiral," Creolon said. The probe's sensors detected something moving toward it at incredible speed. The object was very small, only 2 meters long, but it was moving at 12% of light speed. "That's impossible," Admiral Zexai said. "No projectile small can maintain such speed. The energy requirements would be enormous." "According to our calculations, Admiral, the kinetic energy of that projectile was equal to the output of a small star. All of that energy was concentrated in a simple metal rod." Admiral Zexai looked at the data again. The numbers did not make sense. If the humans really had weapons that powerful, why were they not ruling the galaxy? Why were they still living on one small planet? "It must be some kind of trick," the Admiral said. "The humans are trying to scare us with fake information. They probably used some kind of bomb to destroy the probe, then created false sensor readings." "Perhaps, Admiral," Creolon said. But the probe's final transmission was sent in real time. There was no time for the humans to create fake data, and the energy signature matches what we would expect from a kinetic projectile at that speed. Admiral Zexai did not want to believe that humans were dangerous. The Zephyrians had been the strongest military force in the galaxy for 3,000 years. They had defeated every enemy they had ever faced. The idea that some primitive humans could threaten them was ridiculous. "Prepare the fleet for departure," he ordered. "We will conduct a patrol near the human system. If they really have powerful weapons, we will see them when they try to stop us." "Admiral," Creolon said carefully, "perhaps we should be more cautious. The humans might interpret a large fleet as an act of war." "Good," Admiral Zexai said. "Let them be afraid. When they see our 500 ships, they will remember their place in the galaxy." The Zephyrian fleet left their base and headed toward Earth. Each ship was massive and covered with weapons. The Admiral was confident that the sight of so many warships would make the humans surrender immediately. On Earth, Commander Pete Johnson was working the night shift at Luna Base Operations. The base was built inside a crater on the moon's surface. From here, human operators could watch everything that happened in the solar system. Pete was drinking coffee and reading reports when his sensors detected the alien fleet. 500 ships had just appeared at the edge of the solar system. They were arranged in what looked like an attack formation. "This is interesting," Pete said to himself. He activated his communication system and called Earth Defense Command. "General Amy Foster speaking," came the reply. "General, we have visitors," Pete said. 500 Zephyrian ships just jumped into our system. They're holding position just outside the heliopause." General Foster was quiet for a moment. "Are they doing anything threatening?" "Not yet," Pete said. "They're just sitting there. But their weapons are charged and their shields are up. They look ready for a fight." "Let me guess," General Foster said. "They're trying to intimidate us." "That would be my assessment," Pete agreed. "Well, let's see if we can help them out," General Foster said. "Send them a message. Ask if they need assistance with navigation or repairs." Pete smiled. He liked General Foster's sense of humor. "Should I mention that some of their ships have fluctuating power readings?" "Good eye," General Foster said. "Yes, mention that. We want to be helpful neighbors." Pete composed a message and sent it to the alien fleet. The message was polite and friendly. It asked if the aliens needed help with their engines or navigation systems. It mentioned that human sensors had detected power fluctuations in several ships, Admiral Zexhai read the human message and became even more angry. The humans were treating his mighty fleet like a group of broken-down cargo haulers. They were acting like the Zephyrians needed help instead of being afraid. "They're mocking us," the Admiral said. "They think we're weak." "Admiral," his communications officer said, "the humans are correct about the power fluctuations. Ships 7, 12, and 34 are reporting engine problems." Admiral Zexhai looked at his officer with surprise. How did the humans detect engine problems from so far away? "I don't know, Admiral. Their sensors must be very sensitive." This was another piece of information that worried Admiral Zexhai. If human sensors were good enough to detect engine problems from across the solar system, they were much more advanced than anyone had realized. "Sir," another officer said, "we're receiving a second transmission from Earth." The message appeared on the main screen. This time it was from someone called General Amy Foster. She was authorizing the activation of 2 additional defense platforms. The message mentioned that this would increase Earth's operational capacity from 1% to 3%. 3%, Admiral Zexhai repeated. "They're increasing their power by 3 times, and they're still only using 3% of their total capacity." "Admiral," Creelon said, "if they're only using 3% of their power, and they destroyed our probe with 1%, then their full power must be ... 100 times stronger," Admiral Zexhai finished. "That's what they claimed, but I didn't believe it." The Admiral decided to test the humans. He ordered his fleet to conduct target practice on some nearby asteroids. The Zephyrian ships fired their most powerful weapons at the Space Rocks. The asteroids exploded in brilliant flashes of light, creating clouds of glowing debris. "Send that footage to Earth," Admiral Zexhai ordered. "Show them what our weapons can do. Maybe they'll realize they should be afraid." The footage was transmitted to Earth, showing the destruction of the asteroids. The Admiral expected the humans to panic and surrender. Instead, he received another polite message. This time the message was from Captain Susan Miller of Earth's Space Mining Consortium. She thanked the aliens for the demonstration and asked if they were interested in asteroid mining. She mentioned that humans had developed more efficient methods for extracting valuable materials from space rocks. "More efficient methods?" Admiral Zexhai said. "We just destroyed those asteroids completely." "How can you extract materials from something that no longer exists?" His science officer pulled up data on human mining operations. "Admiral, the humans appear to use very precise strikes to break asteroids into manageable pieces. They don't destroy them completely. They break them apart so they can harvest the valuable metals inside. So when they destroy asteroids to protect their planet," Admiral Zexhai said slowly, "they're being careful not to waste the materials." "Yes, Admiral. They're using weapons powerful enough to destroy asteroids, but with enough precision to avoid wasting resources." This information made Admiral Zexhai even more worried. The humans had weapons that could destroy asteroids, but they were skilled enough to use those weapons for mining. That meant they had incredible control over their technology. "Sir," his communications officer said, "we're receiving another message from Earth. This one is from their Space Mining Consortium again." Captain Miller's message was friendly and helpful. She explained that human mining operations typically used controlled explosions to break apart asteroids. She mentioned that a typical mining operation would use projectiles traveling at about 5% of light speed, much slower than military applications. 5% of light speed for mining, Admiral Zexhai said. They use 12% for destroying scout probes. What do they use for actual combat? No one had an answer to that question. The humans had not revealed their combat capabilities. They had only shown their mining tools and their probe destruction systems. "Admiral," Creelon said, "I've been analyzing all the human communications. They keep mentioning that they're operating at minimal power levels. They've never told us what their maximum power levels are. What's your assessment?" Admiral Zexhai asked. "I believe the humans are much more dangerous than we thought," Creelon said. "They have weapons that can destroy our best ships, And they're not even using their full power. They're treating our fleet like a minor inconvenience. Admiral HFY looked at his fleet surrounding him. 500 of the most powerful ships in the galaxy, and the humans were offering to help them with engine repairs. The humans were not afraid. They were not impressed. They were acting like the Zephyrian fleet was nothing special. "Sir," his tactical officer said, "what are your orders?" Admiral HFY thought about his options. He could attack the humans and test their defenses. But if the humans were telling the truth about their weapons, the attack would be a disaster. He could retreat and report back to the council, but that would make him look weak. Admiral HFY had been waiting for 3 days. His fleet of 500 ships surrounded the human solar system, but the humans did not seem worried. They kept sending polite messages asking if the aliens needed help. This was not what the Admiral had expected. The Admiral was getting tired of being treated like he was harmless. His ships were the most powerful weapons in the galaxy. Each one could destroy entire cities. Together, they could turn a planet into burning rock. But the humans acted like they were looking at a group of lost tourists. "Communications officer," Admiral HFY said, "open a channel to Earth. I want to speak to whoever is in charge of their military." The main screen lit up and showed a woman in a blue uniform. Her name appeared at the bottom of the screen, General Amy Foster. She looked calm and professional. She did not look like someone who was afraid of 500 alien warships. "Admiral HFY," General Foster said. "How can we help you today?" "You can help me by surrendering," Admiral HFY said. "I'm tired of your games. You will submit to Galactic Council authority, or we will force you to submit." General Foster looked sad. "I'm sorry to hear that, Admiral. We had hoped to solve this problem peacefully. But we cannot allow unauthorized military vessels to remain in our star system." "Your star system?" Admiral HFY laughed. "You do not own this system. You're just one small planet. We have 500 ships. You have a few tiny platforms. You cannot stop us from going wherever we want." "Actually, we can," General Foster said. "Our defensive protocols are very clear. All foreign military ships must either leave immediately or face engagement under rules of war." Admiral HFY could not believe what he was hearing. The humans were threatening him. They were actually threatening 500 Zephyrian warships with their small platforms. "You are either very brave or very stupid," Admiral HFY said. "My ships have enough firepower to crack your planet like an egg. What do you think your little platforms can do against us?" "Why don't we find out?" General Foster said. "But first, let me transfer you to Dr. Karen White. She can explain what's about to happen." The screen changed to show Dr. White. She was sitting in what looked like a control room. Behind her, people were working at computers and watching large displays. "Admiral HFY," Dr. White said, "I want to make sure you understand what's happening. We are about to provide a demonstration of our defensive capabilities. We will use Platform 12, operating at 5% capacity." "5%?" Admiral HFY said. "You destroyed our probe with 1%. Why are you using 5% now?" "Because we want to make sure the message is clearly understood," Dr. White said. "We have tried to solve this peacefully. We have been polite and respectful. But you have brought weapons into our home system and threatened our planet. We cannot allow that." "Your platform cannot hurt my ships," Admiral HFY said. "Our shields are the strongest in the galaxy. Our armor can withstand direct hits from any known weapon." "We know about your shields and armor," Dr. White said. "We've been studying the data from your probe. Very impressive technology. However, there are some things your people don't understand about kinetic energy." Dr. White touched something on her desk. The screen split to show a view of space near the alien fleet. One of the small human platforms was slowly turning. It looked like nothing more than a metal box with solar panels. "Platform 12 is now targeting the center of your formation," Dr. White said. "All ships in the target area should move away. Immediately, we will fire in 60 seconds. Admiral HFY looked at his tactical display. Platform 12 was aiming at an empty spot of space in the middle of his fleet. There were no ships exactly in that spot, but 47 ships were close. Enough to be in danger if the human weapon was as powerful as they claimed. All ships in Grid 7, Admiral HFY ordered, move to safe distance immediately. Admiral, his tactical officer said, our ships are refusing to move. They don't believe the human platform is dangerous. Admiral HFY understood. His ship captains were proud warriors. They had never run from a fight. The idea of fleeing from one small human platform was shameful to them. Tell them it's a tactical repositioning, Admiral HFY said, not a retreat. They're still refusing, Admiral. Captain Morkith says he would rather die than run from humans. Admiral HFY felt a cold fear in his stomach. His captains were about to learn a very hard lesson about human weapons. 30 seconds until firing, Dr. White announced. Final warning to all ships in the target area. Admiral HFY watched the human platform. It did not look dangerous. There were no energy buildups that his sensors could detect, no weapons charging, no obvious signs of an imminent attack. The platform just sat there, rotating slowly. 10 seconds, Dr. White said. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Platform 12 is firing. A small section of the platform opened. Admiral HFY saw something that looked like a simple metal tube. There was no flash of light, no beam of energy, no explosion. Just a tiny object that shot out of the tube and disappeared. For a moment, nothing happened. Admiral HFY thought maybe the human weapon had failed. Then his tactical officer started screaming, Admiral, we're detecting a projectile. Speed is 37% of light speed. It's heading straight for Grid 7. Admiral HFY looked at his display. A single dot was moving across the screen faster than anything he had ever seen. The dot passed through the center of his fleet in 1.2 seconds. 47 ships vanished. They did not explode. They did not break apart. They simply ceased to exist. Where the ships had been, there was now a corridor of superheated plasma 800 kilometers wide. The metal and ceramic of the ships had been converted to expanding gas clouds. Impossible, Admiral HFY whispered. His sensors were tracking the projectile as it continued out of the solar system. It was still moving at 37% of light speed. It was still glowing with heat from its passage through his ships. His computers calculated that the projectile contained enough kinetic energy to crack a planet's crust. Admiral, his communications officer said in a shaking voice, Dr. White is calling us. Dr. White appeared on the screen again. She looked sorry about what had happened. Admiral, I regret that this demonstration was necessary. As I mentioned, Platform 12 was operating at 5% capacity. We could have used higher power levels, but we wanted to minimize collateral damage. 5%, Admiral HFY repeated. He was having trouble thinking clearly. 47 of his best ships were gone. Just gone, and the humans had used only 5% of their weapons' power. What happens at full power? Admiral HFY asked. We've never tested full power in combat conditions, Dr. White said. Our computer models suggest that a full power shot would reach about 60% of light speed. The kinetic energy would be sufficient to destroy anything up to and including small moons. Admiral HFY looked at his fleet. He had started with 500 ships. Now he had 453. One human platform had destroyed 47 ships in 1.2 seconds. And there were 50 platforms around Earth. How many platforms do you have? Admiral HFY asked. Currently active? 50, Dr. White said. But we can activate more if needed. Earth's total defensive grid consists of 200 platforms. Most of them are in standby mode to save energy. 200, Admiral HFY said. All capable of this level of destruction? Actually, Platform 12 is one of our older units, Dr. White said. The newer platforms are more efficient. They can achieve the same results with less power consumption? Admiral HFY felt sick. The humans had 200 weapons, each capable of destroying dozens of ships with a single shot. His entire fleet could be wiped out in seconds. There's something else you should know, Dr. White continued. Our platforms are designed primarily for asteroid defense. They're built to destroy objects that might threaten Earth. Your ships are much smaller and less durable than the asteroids we normally target. Smaller and less durable, Admiral HFY repeated. A typical asteroid that threatens Earth is 15 to 20 kilometers across, Dr. White explained. It's made of solid rock and metal. Your ships are only 3 kilometers long, and much of their interior is empty space. From a targeting perspective, your ships are actually easier to destroy than our normal targets, Admiral HFY understood. The humans had built their weapons to fight giant space rocks. His warships, the most powerful vessels in the galaxy, were smaller and weaker than the targets humans fought every day. Admiral, his tactical officer said, all ship captains are requesting permission to retreat. Admiral HFY looked at his fleet. The proud warriors who had refused to move 5 minutes ago were now begging to leave. They had seen what human weapons could do. They no longer felt brave. Dr. White, Admiral HFY said, if we leave your system immediately, will you allow us to go in peace? Of course, Dr. White said. We have no desire to destroy your ships. We only want to protect our planet. Leave peacefully and no more shots will be fired. All ships, Admiral HFY ordered, retreat immediately, maximum speed. Do not stop until we reach our home system. The Zephyrian fleet turned and fled. Admiral HFY watched Earth shrink behind them. He thought about the report he would have to write. News about the human demonstration spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. Every alien species heard about what happened to Admiral HFY's fleet. 47 Zephyrian warships destroyed in 1.2 seconds by a single human platform, using only 5% power. The story seemed impossible, but the evidence was clear. High Counselor Vextar sat in his private office aboard the Nexus Prime. He was reading reports from across the galaxy. Every alien government wanted to know what this meant for them. The Zephyrians had been the strongest military force for 3,000 years. If humans could destroy Zephyrian ships so easily, what did that mean for everyone else? Intelligence Advisor Creolon entered the office. He looked tired and worried. He had been working day and night since the human demonstration trying to understand what had happened. Counselor, Creolon said, I have completed my analysis of the incident. Tell me, Vextar said, how bad is it? Worse than we thought, Creolon replied. The human projectile that destroyed our ships was traveling at 37% of light speed. At that velocity, even a small object carries enormous kinetic energy. The projectile was 2 meters long and made of tungsten steel alloy. When it hit our ships, the energy release was equivalent to 40 fusion bombs. Vextar felt cold. And they said this was only 5% power. Yes, Counselor. If they had used full power, the projectile would have traveled at 60% of light speed. The energy would have been sufficient to crack a planet's crust. How many of these weapons do they have? 200 platforms, Counselor. Each. One capable of the same level of destruction. And they mentioned that the platform they used was one of their older models. Vextar stood up and walked to the window. He could see other council ships floating nearby. Each ship represented a different alien species. All of them were waiting to hear what the council would do about the human problem. Send a message to Ambassador Morrison, Vextar said. Request an immediate meeting. Tell him we wish to discuss new diplomatic arrangements. 3 hours later, Jake Morrison's ship docked with the Nexus Prime. This time, Jake was not alone. Dr. Karen White and General Amy Foster came with him. The humans looked calm and confident. They did not look like people who had just threatened to destroy an alien fleet. The meeting room was the same as before, but the atmosphere was completely different. The alien counselors were polite and respectful. They offered the humans the best seats and asked if they needed anything. No one made jokes about human weaknesses. Ambassador Morrison, Vextar said, we owe you an apology. We made incorrect assumptions about human capabilities. We hope we can start over with better understanding. We appreciate that, Jake said. We never wanted conflict with the Galactic Council. We just wanted to be treated as equals. About your defensive systems, said the alien that looked like a giant bird. We would like to understand them better. You mentioned that your platforms are designed for asteroid defense? Dr. White nodded. That's correct. Earth's orbital defense grid was built to protect our planet from asteroid impacts. We've had several close calls over the years. Large asteroids can cause extinction-level events if they hit our planet. How large are these asteroids? Asked the alien that looked like a crab. The dangerous ones are usually 10 to 20 kilometers across, Dr. White explained. They're made of solid rock and metal, much denser and harder to destroy than spacecraft. The aliens exchanged worried looks. Their largest warships were only 3 kilometers long. If human weapons were designed to destroy 20-kilometer asteroids, then alien ships were easy targets. Your platforms? Vextar said carefully. How much power do they normally use for asteroid defense? It depends on the size of the asteroid, General Foster said. For a typical 10-kilometer asteroid, we use about 8% power. For larger ones, we might go up to 15%. We've never needed to use more than 20% power for asteroid defense. 20%, Vextar repeated. And your demonstration against our fleet used 5%. Yes, General Foster said. We wanted to send a clear message without causing unnecessary destruction. Admiral Zexhi's ships were much smaller than our usual targets, so 5% was more than sufficient. Commander Pete Johnson, who had been monitoring alien communications, spoke up. We should mention that Platform 12 needed recalibration after the engagement. Our targeting systems are optimized for large, slow-moving asteroids. Your ships were much smaller and faster than what we normally shoot at. Your systems had difficulty targeting our ships? Asked one of the aliens. The opposite, Pete said. Our systems are designed to hit objects that are much larger and moving much slower. Your ships were so small and fast that our targeting computer had to work extra hard to make sure it only hit what we wanted to hit. The aliens realized that human weapons were so powerful they had trouble aiming at small targets like spaceships. The platforms were built to destroy objects the size of mountains, not vessels the size of buildings. There's something else we should discuss, Dr. White said. Our defensive philosophy? We built these systems to protect Earth from natural disasters. Asteroid impacts, solar flares, that sort of thing. Military applications were never the primary purpose. What was the primary purpose? Vextar asked. Planetary survival, Dr. White said. We've studied our planet's history. We know that asteroid. Impacts have caused mass extinctions before. We decided we would never let that happen again. So we built weapons capable of destroying any object that might threaten our world. Any object, Vextar said. Any object, Dr. White confirmed. Natural or artificial? We don't discriminate. If something is heading toward Earth with hostile intent, we stop it. General Foster pulled up a display showing Earth's defensive grid. 200 small platforms surrounded the planet in a complex orbital pattern. Each platform looked harmless, like a small satellite with solar panels. Our platforms operate on a rotation schedule, General Foster explained. At any given time, 50 platforms are active and ready to fire. The other 150 are in standby mode. This saves energy and extends the life of our equipment. What would happen if all 200 platforms were activated? Vextai asked. We've never had to find out, General Foster said. 50 active platforms have been sufficient for all our needs so far. We estimate that full activation would provide approximately 4 times our current defensive capacity. The aliens did some quick math. 50 platforms had been enough to destroy 47 ships in one shot. 200 platforms could destroy entire fleets in seconds. General Foster, Vextar said, would you be willing to share some of your technology with the galactic community? Many species struggle with asteroid defense. Your systems could save millions of lives. We'd be happy to help, General Foster sighed. We can provide basic kinetic projectile technology and targeting systems. Of course, we'll need to scale them down for civilian use. Scale them down? asked the bird-like alien. Our military-grade systems are too powerful for most applications, Dr. White explained. For civilian asteroid defense, you don't need projectiles that travel at 60% of light speed. 10 or 15% would be more than adequate for most threats. The aliens realized that humans considered 60% light speed to be excessive for normal use. They built weapons that powerful because they wanted to be absolutely certain they could stop any threat. Jake Morrison stood up. We'd like to propose a new arrangement with the Galactic Council. Earth will join as a full member with equal voting, rights, and representation. In exchange, we'll provide defensive technology and assistance to any species that needs protection from asteroid impacts or other natural disasters. What about military threats? Vexstar asked. We have no interest in conquest, Jake said. But we will defend ourselves and our allies if necessary. We hope that won't be needed. The Council voted unanimously to accept the new arrangement. Every alien species wanted to be friends with the humans. No one wanted to be enemies with people who had weapons that could crack planets. 6 months later, Captain Lisa Hayes stood on the bridge of a new kind of ship. It was built using both human and alien technology. Half the crew was human and half was alien. They were heading beyond the galaxy's edge to investigate mysterious signals from distant star clusters. Captain, her science officer said, we're detecting artificial signals from the next galaxy. They appear to be coming from a highly advanced civilization. How advanced? Lisa asked. Unknown, Captain. But the energy signatures are unlike anything we've seen before, Lisa smiled. The universe had become a much bigger and more interesting place since humanity revealed its true capabilities. The phrase 1% power had become famous across the galaxy. It was a reminder that sometimes the most dangerous species were the ones that looked harmless. Set course for the signal source, Lisa ordered. Let's go introduce ourselves to our new neighbors. As the ship jumped to faster-than-light speed, Lisa thought about how much had changed. Humans were no longer the weak species that needed protection. They were the protectors, the ones other species called when they needed help. It was a responsibility they took seriously. The galaxy was safer now, knowing that somewhere in the darkness, 200 platforms were watching and waiting.